Welcome back to the Pigskin Podcast. I'm Ben Pherson. This is Jason Feldman. Feldy, we are on location at Schaefer Field in the press box because it's really cold.
Yeah, but look
out.
at where we're sitting. We're sitting in a luxurious fan suite. Here they rolled out the red carpet for us.
You want boosters?
Amy did.
Stewartville's got boosters. Check out this football. Got it? But
did you flash the tiger on there? Did you flash the tiger on
I did, of course I did. See? I'm still flashing
We got
the tiger.
practice going on behind us. Those guys look cold.
Yeah, and Coach Meyer is a real tough coach. He's got him out there practicing for 2.5 hours.
We just saw snow.
A couple days before state. It's just not right, is it? Should be a walk through in the gym or something.
Let's just watch some film, eat some popcorn. That's
But anyway, we got plenty to talk to. We'll get to the high school stuff real quick, but let's talk about Jerry Kill real quick. We found out this morning, it is Wednesday when we're recording this, so we found out this morning that Jerry Kill is resigning due to health reasons. You couldn't help but get choked up watching that press conference today, and you'd have a hard time finding a college coach that loves his players as much as that guy does.
Mm-hmm. And you saw that reciprocated too from the players. Just I didn't get to see the press conference live. I saw it later in the day, but I woke up, checked Twitter at about 20 after 9, and it was just blowing up with messages from his players, from media, from other coaches. He talked about his love for the players, but I think you could see that the other way too, with just how the players feel about him. Everybody, I think, that's played for him here at Minnesota, and probably at his previous stops too, feel the same way about him. And a lot of Minnesota sports fans too. I mean, here's a guy who came into a program that was in really tough shape. He turned it around, he got it back to a really strong point, and whoever ends up taking over is going to, inherit a program that was a lot better than it was when Jerry Kill came here.
And maybe Mitch Leitner won't be the quarterback when they come.
Maybe that would be a good.
No, it's a sad day, and you could just see it in his face that he just had what he loves. Aside, I mentioned that in Face-Off. I said, I feel like football is what he loves most, aside from his family, and to have that ripped away from you is tough. And you could hear it in his voice and see it in his face during that press conference. So
to be a Division I football coach at that level, the kind of hours and the work that those guys put in, they eat, sleep, and breathe football. I mean, they're sleeping at their office many nights. They're up early and to bed late, and it's their life for most of the year. And I think I just listened to a little bit of talk on the radio today too, and it sounds like maybe finally something clicked with and I think Jerry Kill maybe even said it himself about he's watching what these seizures and his constant health problems do to his family and the people around him, and maybe that was the last straw, I guess, in his decision to do this. And hats off to him for being able to make that move and step away from something that's been a huge part of his life.
Sure, it wasn't easy. What did he say in the press conference? I've never listened to a doctor in my life. This is the first time I'm ever listening to a doctor. Right. So, just imagine. And I know, we laugh about it because we're from here, but Minnesota was his dream job. Yeah. A job in the Big Ten, and to have that ripped away from you is brutal. And I know he's still going to be with the U of M, and he's still going to be part of that program, I'm sure, but not in the capacity that he'd like to. So, sorry to see you leaving, Coach Gill.
Absolutely, and what a crazy time at the U. I mean, I can't imagine there, if ever, or very rarely, have been a case where a big school like that is going along with an interim AD and an interim head football coach.
Well, what are you going to do?
I know.
What are you going to do?
The way it's set up, but
they can't mess this higher up, either of them. I mean, I'm more concerned about the AD right now. They need to make the proper hire there. So hopefully we'll find that out soon. They said they're not going to start looking for a football coach until they get that AD in place, which is the right move, because who's going to come here if the AD is not there? So,
and the program's in good hands right now too. You think of Jerry Kill, but those assistants under him have been with him for a long time too. Some of them a couple of decades. So the program will be the transition will be as seamless as it possibly could be in a situation like this.
Definitely. Enough sad stuff, Feldy. Let's talk about
let's move on to some fun stuff.
Yeah, let's talk
state
about
tournament time.
Stuff. It is state tournament time. Players of the week. I'll let you go first again. I haven't decided on mine. I'll think about it. I'll decide.
This was kind of an easy decision for me this week. I covered the 9-man game last week, the Section 1 championship game between Grand Meadow and Spring Grove. And as I was writing my story, the Section 1 AAA championship was going on, and I sat and watched the first half. And that Caledonia offense is it's a machine, Fiercey. I mean, they've got a sophomore quarterback back there.
I was going to say, we'll talk about them in depth in a minute here.
He wings the ball around the field, but my player of the week is one of his receivers, Tanner Gran, a senior, had 9 catches, 198 yards, 4 touchdowns. That's what we call an efficient night.
If you had drafted him on DraftKings, you would have been in the money last week.
I should have. I need him. I think I'll put him in my lineup the rest of the way out. 9 receptions.
A high school football game?
4 of them went for touchdowns and almost 200 yards receiving.
It's pretty decent.
That's a good week.
Now, I'm gonna we're in Stewartville, so I got to stick with the Stewartville guy. Jordan Johnson, 29 carries, 266 yards, 62 yards receiving. With Brandon Hoth out, he had to be the workhorse. And Brandon, we're going to interview him in a few minutes here, bring him into the podcast. But with him being out for the year with a knee injury, like I said, we'll talk to him about that in a minute. But Jordan's going to have to be the workhorse here. If they're going to get the job done at the state tournament, it's going to have to be Jordan offensively. It's a tough load to carry when, you talk about a kid as good as Brandon Hoth going down, and you could see Jordan carrying that load and really carried them past Winona last week.
And he did it on a night where the offense wasn't at its sharpest.
No, it was...
where they needed him to do what he did.
I would guess they'd say that was their worst performance of the year. Certainly Winona influenced that, but to turn the ball over 3 times and survive in the section finals, it tells you how good Stewartville is.
Helps to have a defense that never gives up points, too.
That definitely helps. But Feldy, we're going to bring Brandon in, so we'll cut away here and bring him in and have him sit down and see if I can ask him a few decent questions. I doubt it, but I'm going to try. All right, so now we're welcoming a very special guest, Brandon Hoth. We've never had a guest on the show, so you're the first ever. You feel privileged?
It's an honor. It's an honor.
I figured you would. But Brandon had a very unfortunate injury last week in practice. Nobody hit you even, did you?
Non-contact.
Non-contact ACL. We find that out for sure.
ACL tear completely.
Stinks. I'm sure you're grieving a little bit, and I don't know if you've come to grips with it yet, but talk about how, it had to be hard to watch last week.
Yeah, for sure. Standing there seeing my teammates, especially going to state back-to-back times, it was really cool seeing the joy on everyone's face, the excitement, so you have to be happy with that. But again, there's a little part in me that wanted to be out there, of course.
Yeah.
But
I was going to say, I don't think anybody missed you more than Jordan Johnson last week. I know he was exhausted after the game. That was one of the first things he said to me when I talked to him. He said, I miss him a lot. That's a lot. It's a lot for him to carry, especially when he's playing every snap on defense too.
Yep. Essentially, this whole season we've just been operating with pretty much 2 running backs, and we've been lucky this whole year. No one's really gotten hurt, and one guy goes down last second. It was 2 days before the game. So we had really no one else to get the bulk of the carries. So Jordan he was up. If there's one guy that's going to be getting 40 carries, I want it to be Jordan Johnson. So
and Krukow last week came in and did a good job blocking. He came in for a sophomore to come in and fill that role last week. You guys had to be proud to see him step in and play as well as he did.
Yeah, he's a power back. I'd probably say out of us 3, me, Jordan, and Krukow, he's probably just the primary power back. He's fast, but the biggest thing with him is, I'm sure you've seen some of his big hits. He just has a lot of explosion, a really aggressive player. So it's really good to get him and Jordan out there so he can lead the way for him. It just gives us all the more the power.
And he did seal the edge on one of Jordan's long runs last week. So looking good for a sophomore. Boy, he's a beast. So now, I don't know how much you've been in on meetings this week with taking a look at Marshall. Do you know much about Marshall? Have you seen much of them?
Yeah, I've seen some of the film. I know that they have a lot of speed, and at the same time they have a lot of big guys. This is a team where you can't just key on one guy. You can't necessarily contain all of them. You just have to hope to slow them down. And with our defense, with our speed, hopefully that we can use that to our advantage and slow some of their guys down and give our offense a better look.
How important will it be for you guys this week? I think they're going to make big plays. I think they're going to probably have some long plays. I know that running back can be gone in a second. He can go 80 yards really quick. So how important is it for you guys to not react, not have your head down after that play happens?
Yeah.
Because you haven't given up many big plays this year. So
Yeah. All season the coaches have been saying how just have a one-play mentality. Just look forward, don't look back. Just have a short memory. And they say that the deeper we get, better teams, more talent. There's going to be more big plays given up. Especially Coach Severson said, with me going down, there's going to be more guys stepping up. So naturally, new spots, new guys in new spots, there's going to be bigger plays given up. But we just can't let that get to our heads. he doesn't really care as much about yards given up as he does points.
Nice.
He just wants us to stick him at the goal line and just keep doing that, and we'll be fine.
How good was last week, do you think, for this team to have a little bit of adversity and have to finish a game? You know, I mean, this was one of the first games all year you've had to play 4 quarters and finish the game off.
I think it was really good. I think Coach Meyer all season he's been saying if there's one thing that he could probably fix with our team is conditioning. And I mean, with most games, you don't get that with a lot of games we had this year. We didn't have many games playing into the fourth quarter. And with that, it just helped our guys kind of just dig in a little bit more than we've had to. And it just hopefully, if we can get that right away in the playoffs, hopefully it'll carry us longer down the road.
Obviously, this has been a very special season for you guys, and when you have a season like you guys have had and the team that you have right now, it's not a couple-year thing. It's a 8-9 year thing a lot of times. How far in advance did you guys see this coming? Was there a point, you know, you guys have been playing football together for most of your lives, I'm sure. Was there a point where you guys said, you know, when we're seniors, let's do this. Let's win a state title?
It was probably 6th grade year up at RYFA, we went undefeated and won the championship. And the 7th grade team, Aaron Kwan's team, they went undefeated as well. So we weren't really looking too far ahead at that point. We were just thinking, man, it's kind of we're both undefeated. Yeah. That's cool. But yeah, we expected a lot of success last season, and I think a lot of people didn't really see it from us this season. But our group, our seniors collectively, we knew that we could do it. We knew that we could pull through in all those games.
All right, I'm going to go with some rapid-fire questions now.
Okay.
You ready for this?
Yeah.
All right. Most underrated guy on the team?
Isaiah Jacobson.
Why?
He is by far the fastest kid on the team. He's came a very long way from where he was at. He started football in 9th grade. He used to be in soccer, so he just has so much raw athleticism that really helps us out, and he's became a star cornerback on our team. It's awesome to see a kid out there that's just worked hard. He was one of the kids always in the weight room, always working track season with Coach Meyer, always just wanting to get better and get to this spot, and he's finally made it, and it's been really good to see him thrive.
Guy you like watching the most?
Well, I think Jordan Johnson. I think everyone's going to go with that.
That's too easy.
Even when we were little, it's just always been Jordan. The kid's just been a freak his whole life. And the thing with him is he's already great, but he doesn't tell himself that.
Yeah.
That he's never satisfied. He just keeps pushing himself, and that's just why you just keep seeing more and more out of him.
I was going to say, you can kind of tell when he gets a lot of credit, he gets a lot of headlines and things, but it doesn't seem like it bothers anybody on the team because he's such a good guy, too.
He's a great player, even a better person.
Funniest guy on the team? Don't say Joey Thompson.
I think Chai Stecker probably. I don't know if many people know this. He's so quick and witty. He's just got the funniest things to say every day at practice.
As long as he pulls his jersey down, then I'll allow you to.
I know that's kind of.
I'll give that answer.
It's kind of like an old school thing. Some people say, "Put your jersey down." I don't like that. He's showing off his abs, but it's just his swagger. It's what he brings.
I think this team has a lot of swagger.
Yeah.
You guys play with a mean, just a toughness that's pretty rare in high school football. Team from the area that you enjoy playing the most?
In our conference?
Whatever team. We don't have conferences anymore. Remember?
True. Districts, yeah. Good one. Let me think. Team that I want to play the most, or team that I enjoy?
That you do play.
Okay.
I was going to say team you like to beat the most, but I know you're going to say Lourdes, so give me a different one.
Oh, man. I really like playing Casson. Every time we play Casson, it's just, I said it to all the guys all year, the 2 games that I was most nervous for was both Casson games. It's just, they always have so much talent on their team regardless of what their record is. You have to respect them and what they do, because they're a team where if you walk in thinking that you're going to walk all over them, they're going to beat you. Just flat out, they're physical and they're fast. They got a lot of good athletes.
What's in your earbuds when you're working out? Give me one band.
Band. I don't really like.
You don't like music?
I like rap music.
Okay. Which rapper is in your?
Let's see.
What gets you pumped?
Do you know who Machine Gun Kelly is at all?
Unfortunately.
I really like him. I know a lot of people. I get a lot of heat from the team because they say they don't like the music that I listen to. But
hey, I like a lot of rap, but not MGK.
I like something that's just kind of upbeat. Just whatever gets me going. I mean, even I throw a little Freebird in there too. Thunderstruck. Whatever kind of gets the mood.
Fair. That's fair. Favorite teacher?
Favorite teacher? Mr. Muller. He's a fun guy. I know you guys can probably see it, he's got a lot of enthusiasm in everything he does, going to practice. Teaching his 9th grade gym classes, he's still just as up as during a football game. So it's just good seeing a teacher like that.
When you're not playing football, what are you doing?
Checking my fantasy football team.
All right. And what's your record right now?
3-4.
Wow.
Not been a good
You
year.
should stop checking that.
Might as well.
All right. What questions you got for me?
Let's see. Do you think they should change how the Minnesota high school football playoffs are set?
Absolutely. I don't think that teams. I think if you don't have a winning record, you shouldn't be in the playoffs.
Why is that?
Because it works in other states. And what's the point of 8-0 versus 0-8? I mean, I guess once in a million years it's going to happen where they're going to beat somebody, but chances are what's going to happen is somebody's going to get hurt. The kids that don't need to get hurt. And like I said, obviously it means you can't set your playoff brackets until the postseason happens. But Wisconsin, I never like to give Wisconsin credit, but for anything. But the way they do it, I like it. You got to have a winning record or winning record in your conference. So if you're in a brutal conference, if you have a winning record in your conference, then you're going to the playoffs. So.
Okay. All right, let me think. Favorite area football team besides Stewartville?
I gotta say Lourdes, I guess, now since I cover Lourdes.
Okay. Fair enough.
I love Lourdes' coaching staff, and as much Lourdes hate as there is out there, to us, the Lourdes kids are the most respectful kids that I deal with. I mean, they're always very polite, and maybe they're well coached, I don't know, but them, and obviously I get labeled as a casting guy all the time, but now I get labels of Stewartville guy, and Lourdes guy, and whatever.
Just kind of ride along,
yeah,
right?
Definitely.
Let me think. If there was a Stewartville Caledonia matchup, what do you think?
I think Stewartville wins, but Guy Limbeck from the Post-Bulletin disagrees with me. He thinks Owen King is the best, one of the best quarterbacks he's seen in the area, period. And the kid's, a sophomore?
Yeah.
So I'd take Stewartville just because of the size difference, I think. Yeah. I think skill-wise, I think they're right there with you guys. I think their skill players are amazing, and they hit the weights like very few teams do in the area. So I'd still take the Tigers, but boy, would I love to see that game.
Yeah, good program.
I think they're both. I think they're so clearly the best teams in the area, and I mean, I don't think anybody's going to touch Caledonia in their class. I don't know that anyone would touch them in 3A. Yeah,
I saw. I don't know if it was your tweet or was it Jason's. You guys said that you think they would easily win 3A.
I do. I mean, I've covered 3A, with covering Lourdes all year. I think I don't think they'd have any problem with 3A. And frankly, some 3A coaches have told me the same thing. They think that they could contend in 4A this year. So
really,
yeah, that's what's scary is a lot of those kids are still young and they're going to be back.
Yeah.
So they're a darn good football team.
Exactly.
But I'd still take the Tigers.
Perfect. Awesome. Just got to throw that in there, don't you?
You'd like that, yeah. Anything else?
That's all I wanted to ask you.
All right. Keep your head up. I've been through knee surgery. I had 3 surgeries before I was out of high school, so it's fun stuff.
Not really.
No, I know. The good news is, the thing is when I messed my knee up the first time, I was on crutches for forever because I shattered my kneecap. So at the time they treated that like a broken bone. So they basically casted my full leg.
Really?
So I was on crutches forever. Now the one good thing about being on crutches in high school is you can take the elevator. At least at my high school you could.
Yeah.
Which sounds terrible, but then your friends realize if they carry your books, they get to come on the elevator too.
Yeah,
so
you
just got to find ways to take advantage.
Find the perks out of it.
You got to find the positives. I'm sure it's hard right now, but. Anyway, well, thank you for being our first guest on the show, and good luck this weekend, Friday night, big game. We're heading north for that one. But thanks for coming on.
Awesome.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, so welcome back in, Jason Feldman.
That's good stuff.
It's snowing now, very hard.
Look at that.
That's why we're not outside.
It's playoff time, baby.
That's why I have a stocking cap on.
Just, can we go shake Coach Meyer's hands for not practicing over at the practice field today?
You can.
Where we'd have been outside. Maybe he can come up here.
He's got his playoff beard going too. I like the playoff beard for Coach Meyer. So, Feldy, last week you made up absolutely no ground as usual in the standings.
I had a really good start to the day last Saturday, and
I was very worried through 2 games.
If they could have stopped playing games about 2 o'clock, I would be catching up to you right now.
Yeah, and I was at that Plainview game. And we'll talk a little. We'll get to Stewartville in a second, but. that Plainview game I covered was brutal. You talk about having your heart ripped out. Plainview absolutely dominated every second of that football game until Tri-City's last drive. But Plainview put the ball on the ground a bunch, and that'll get you. 4 turnovers will get you most any time. But, you know, they literally didn't let Tri-City United cross midfield until the final drive of the game.
And those turnovers very uncharacteristic for that team, too. I mean, they hadn't had a game like that all year, maybe for a couple of years, and it's really, you know, and obviously they know it, too. We're not trying to rub salt in an open wound or anything, but, you know, just a great season for them, and it really stinks that it had to end, you know, in a game like that and in a situation like that where their defense played so well all game and essentially gave up one long drive to TCU, and that was it.
Yeah, and at halftime, you know, they had the ball right before the half, and basically we're just running out the clock, up 12-0, and fumble, return for a touchdown with 14 seconds left. Well, it really didn't. I mean, they came out in the second half and played great again, and then, you know, like I said, that they missed the extra point, so it's 12-6, and they just kind of let them hang around, and you know, lost a fumble deep in Tri-City territory, and, you know, some interceptions hurt them too. So, yeah, it was a rough game for them, but...
And they had a chance at the end, too.
They did, and they drove down, and you know, that last play where the receiver was wide open and missed, I don't know if he's going to score. They were out of timeouts, and they needed to score, but who, you know, would have liked to see it happen.
Right.
But
at least a chance.
For a team that poured so much into it, it was hard to see it end like that for Plainview, for Coach Kevin Lamb.
And I'm sure it's still hard for them to think about, but they did have a really nice season this year. They had a great season. I mean, you look at what they did to Lourdes in the regular season, and to come back and beat that team again in the playoffs says a lot, and then to be in position to get to the state tournament. Great season for PEM. Unfortunately, TCU is moving on, but we've got a few other teams from the area here we need to talk about that are still playing. So, how far behind are you in the standings?
I don't even know.
3 games back.
3 games back, and there's only 5 games on the docket. That means he's gonna, if he wants to win, that means he's
won't let me pick 7 games this week.
Well, that's because you're trying to bring in teams from Toledo.
You don't want to pick Section 8?
I don't.
You pick Section 8 against Section 6 or something?
No, pass.
No?
But Feldy 9-man game, Grand Meadow, boy, did they look good. Well, you were at that game last week. And
yeah, I picked Spring Grove to win last week just because of how close they played in the regular season, but Grand Meadow dominated that thing from the start. And it wasn't even close. On both sides of the ball, their line was just fantastic. Got a good push defensively, didn't give, Spring Grove tried to throw the ball a lot, didn't give Chase Greeny much time at all to throw or much room to move. And then offensively, I mean, that Grand Meadow line was pushing 3-4 yards up the field before running backs even made contact with a defender. So you're going to win a lot of games doing those kind of things.
Definitely. And so Grand Meadow, undefeated, open state tournament against Cleveland, 10-1. You get to pick first here, and I can tell you right now, there's no chance I'm picking Cleveland because that's a dirty suburb of St. Peter where I'm from. So, I can't pick Cleveland.
Yeah, I can't go against Grand Meadow after watching them last week and just talking to the players afterwards. I mean, they've won 33 games in a row. The confidence, you can just sense it coming out of that group. Talking to Michael Stayskull, their quarterback, he is he's one of the most confident guys. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's not cockiness, it's confidence. And when you win 2 state championships in 33 games in a row, you can be confident. And that was sort of his point when we talked after the game was, these guys go into every game just believing they're going to win. And I can't pick against them. I think Grand Meadow wins, and I think they win by 3 or 4 touchdowns.
I think you're probably right, Jason. And you got to name a score. What's your score?
35-7.
That's good. That's
same way they beat Spring Grove last week.
Was that the exact
score?
There's
35.
Wow. All right, 35-13. I'll go with that.
I think Cleveland maybe gets a garbage time touchdown.
I think
something fluky happened.
You put the subs in probably, third quarter. So
Grand Meadow puts its 3rd string in. Maybe
definitely. And now Class A, Goodhue, with a revenge game, they come back and they beat Fillmore Central after Fillmore had won a close game during the regular season. But listen to Coach Tony Poncelet talk about that. The defense is just clicking at the right time here.
Yeah, they didn't just beat Fillmore; they shut them out, and they completely shut down that passing game in the first half.
Man, I got to go first on this game. I should have started the other way around. But boy, they get Faribault BA. And that's a 10-1 team.
Not the greatest section to come out of, not the greatest competition, but they're 10-1. They beat Blooming Prairie a couple times and won a lot of lopsided games this year.
Man, if I go against G-Force, I'm going to be in big trouble.
It'll be about the 3rd week in a row, isn't it?
I know you're gonna take whoever I don't take, aren't you?
I don't know.
I know how you operate.
I
know how you operate.
I have my mind made up.
Yeah. All right. I'll go G-Force with a close, low-scoring game. I think Goodhue wins 15-13.
Well, if I could tell the truth here, if I had to pick first, I would have made the same pick. I would have picked
exactly the
Goodhue.
score.
Not the same score, okay. No. But I would have picked Goodhue. I just like the way they're playing. The last 3-4 weeks, they've shown that they can win close games. They've shown that they can go out and take it to teams and finish games when they get up. But I got to make up ground on you, and for that reason, I'm going to take Faribault BA 21-14.
Weak. Class 2A.
If I pick all 5 games the same as you, what's the point? I might as well just wave the white flag.
We can skip.
Class 2A. Do we even need to talk about that game?
No, we don't. Caledonia, boy, that's. Yeah. I am certain, not certain, but I feel like they would win 3A pretty easily, and I think 4A. I think they could contend in 4A.
You know the amazing thing about that Caledonia team? They have 10 starters that play both ways. And I know you have to do that at a school that size, but to be that dominant the way that they're beating teams this year, that was a really good Lewiston-Altura team that they played in the section championship game, and they beat them by 41 points. I mean, that's just, we talked about their offense and their quarterback and their passing game, but their defense is up to the task too. They, I think they forced turnovers on the first 3 or 4 possessions that Lewiston-Altura had. Yeah, you can't pick against Caledonia.
Well, like you said, a Lewiston team that probably most years is
if they play in any other section, they probably go to state.
Right, they might win the state title this year. I think they're that good that, to see what they did to a good team in Triton, I think Lewiston's a team most years that can contend in AA for a state title. But, so Caledonia opens with Blue Earth area. Right in Rochester at RCTC on the turf. Yep. Blue Earth area obviously is a very storied program, a program that was 3A for a while.
Right.
That
Blue Earth's played them a few years back.
A couple times, yeah. So, another old conference mate of mine, the Bucks. But I think Blue Earth, no chance in this football game. I will say, it's you first. Did you already make your pick?
Caledonia will blow them out. I think probably 40-10.
That's
if they can even get 10.
I'll go 42 rip.
We should mention, too, the Goodhue FBA game is also in Rochester. Out at RCTC.
Okay, nice.
They go back-to-back on, is it Friday that they play, I think? Yeah, 5 and 8 o'clock. So if you're looking for something to do on Friday night, go watch some football. Some good teams to watch.
We're going to skip 4A. We're going to go 5A first. Yep, since we're in Stewartville, we'll do that game last.
Save the Tigers for last.
5A JM opens with a brutal opener. Mankato West, top ranked, 10-0. I guess they get an extra day. It's on Saturday up at Lakeville North. JM, heck of a run here at the end of the season. Yeah. They beat Mayo, and then last week they are
the kings of dramatic victories.
Yeah, I guess.
Kaz Martin himself, the big touchdown against Mayo, and 21 seconds left, and then the fumble return last week to win it. That's a pretty good 2-week stretch.
Nice. So
it's a legendary stretch.
I knew that was coming. But I got to go first, huh?
Yeah.
Mankato West. I picked JM last week. You didn't. And I'm guessing you're going to pick against them again. You're just a Rocket hater. But I'm going with the Scarlets. I don't, JM's a team that's played Mankato West well here the last few years. They've given them close games. I just don't know that with the team that West has right now, JM still is not throwing the football well. So they're going to have to find a way to throw the football if they're going to get by West. And I don't think this is the week to do it. So I'm going to go with Mankato West 35, JM 20.
You ready for my curveball?
Yeah?
It's coming.
You're picking the Rockets.
You ready for my curveball?
Here we go.
Let me tell you why. Last year, JM beat Mankato West in the regular season.
So hold on. Before you give me this great logic, you're going to tell me you're going to pick them to beat West, and you didn't pick them to beat Northfield.
That's what I'm telling you.
Okay.
I was wrong.
What was the score?
Unlike you.
I'm aware you were wrong.
I can admit when I'm wrong.
I can admit when I'm wrong. I'm right here, though.
Maybe. We'll see.
Hey, I hope you're
we'll
right.
See.
I
Did
hope
you hear
you're
that,
right.
Rockets? JM beat Mankato West in the regular season last year. Nobody else able to do that. Played them to essentially a 1-score game this year, regular season. If there's a team that's going to beat Mankato West or one of those top-ranked teams that JM can hang with, it's West. The way JM is built up front, the way they can control the ball on offense, and the way they're playing on defense right now. So I'm taking it. Call it an upset. JM 20-19.
I do like JM's Lions.
Yeah.
I think that if there's an advantage for them, that's where it is.
I think it's not the Big Nine anymore, but the district that they played in this year, from watching most of those teams, I think JM had about as good of a line as we'll see.
Well, we're up to the big one. Stewartville versus Marshall. Feldy, you're up first. I'll break it down.
I'm going to pick the Tigers.
Well, I know. They're both the Tigers, so
Okay, I'm going to pick first because
you got to go first.
Because I know you've been waiting for this all show.
All show? I mean, I've been
waiting
for
this for like
since
months.
we decided to do this, yeah.
I'll make it real simple. Stewartville's going to win. The defense, just people can't score against them.
Well, I think that's the thing. You talk about this team, you've got such a great lines on both sides of the ball, a secondary that doesn't give up anything, and obviously Jordan Johnson roaming the field at linebacker, Nosbish and the rest of that line too, just gobbling guys up. I think even when Stewartville's offense struggles, that defense is going to keep them in every game. I don't care who they're playing or what level.
And I think that's going to be the difference this week.
Yeah.
Really. Because, Marshall is an outstanding team. They have some really talented players, really talented individuals on that team. And the thing I'll be
like
Himaleski? You got it right.
Yes.
You've been working on that too, haven't you?
For a long time, yeah.
Stewartville hasn't played in a lot of close games, and I think it'll be interesting to see how the guys react if it's a tight game in the fourth quarter and you're having to make a late drive to win a game or something.
Yeah.
But I think, like we said a couple times now, that defense is just so good that and they have enough weapons on offense.
Yeah.
I think they win. I think it'll actually be a low-scoring game, but I'm going to take Stewartville 24-20.
Not so fast. Not so fast, Feldy. Marshall is not just the D1 talent. They are a very good defensive football team. If you look, aside from their last few weeks, their numbers defensively were better than Stewartville's, which is insane.
Yeah.
They had given up 7 points they'd given up 7 points all year long until the last week of the season. So maybe this is just as good a defense as Stewartville.
So maybe it'll be like a 6-3 game.
It could be, and you're definitely right. The Tigers are going to win. Yep. But you know what? Feldy? We got to keep it here with the Stewie Tigers. I'm going Stewartville. I hope you can still hear me through this thing, but I'm going with Stewartville 20-7. I think Jordan Johnson again will carry the way offensively, and Quant will be more efficient this week. And like I said, I have no idea if you can hear me through this, but
what?
I'm going Stewartville. I think they're winning a state title this year. Write that down.
I agree with you.
All right.
I can't argue with the Tiger.
Well, that about wraps this up, right?
It sure does.
Actually, we're going to let Joey Thompson and the boys take it away with a Ric Flair to wrap it up here. So take it away, boys, down on the field.
Dealing, wheeling, dealing, woo! Limousine riding, woo! Jet flying, woo! Son of a gun. Woo! We're having a hard time holding these alligators down. Woo! Everybody give me 2 claps and a Ric Flair.